audio level. A little bit loud. Hope I didn't deafen anyone. But yeah, so this is the JDL Asia 1 division. And we've finally, after a long and arduous battle, got to the quarter-final round. So we have got Scythe going up against Myth. These two teams have both really impressed me throughout this entire tournament. Just absolutely crazily. And we're loaded into the game now, so I'll switch everything over. There we go. That all looks all right. So let me just explain how the current tournament rankings work. Basically, Scythe and Myth came third and fourth in the Asia 1 division, and what that basically means is they're going to play each other in the only quarterfinal. Winner of this is going to move on to play Titan, who came second, in the only semi-final, and then the winner of that will move on and face Arrow in the final. Arrow, who came first in the division. So this is a huge match, absolutely huge. I'm just going to give a little bit more background just while we wait for a couple of picks and bans to come out. Although, notice Naga Siren already.
Dyer's ban.
Yeah, absolutely amazing game. Looking at the history between the two teams, both have scored wins in individual matches, but on joinDota League, Scythe has won both of their kind of overall encounters. In the last time they were playing in the JDL, Scythe beat Myth 2-0, and the only other match they've got on record is Scythe against Myth in the Natolic Pro League, and there Scythe won again, although that time it was 2-1. But Myth do have a win up on the board if we're just looking at individual matches. And the other reason I've been really looking forward to this is both of these teams are kind of renowned for kind of interesting strategies. So Myth, they were the first team I saw properly do IO mid. Scythe, obviously, very, very famous for Miracle Naga. And that's in a current stage in the metagame where we've got very almost rigid set bans, and they don't include IO and they don't include Naga. So we've seen what I hoped we've seen. Myth has gone straight out and they banned the Naga Siren because they're playing against Scythe. It's that simple.
Reserve time.
What that means is, and yeah, they banned the Invoker as well. I was going to say, what that means is Ember Spirit is still in the pool. Ancient Apparition is still in the pool. Dazzle is still in the pool. The amount of high tier heroes that you need to consider banning increases when you're playing against a team like Scythe, who has, you know, a hero who isn't necessarily tier 1, but they are just legendary at. So the AA does indeed get picked up. So does the Centaur War Runner, who's been making a huge comeback into the meta, stampeding into the meta, one might say. Yeah, he's a great hero. I never expected him to get as big as he certainly has been, but the reliability of the stun, the utility of Stampede, the actual range that Double Edge gives him, I've found to be quite important in a lot of fights, because you expect him to be melee, and then suddenly he's kind of got, what is it, 650 range or something. It doesn't say, but it's longer than melee range. So he's actually very quickly becoming a tier 1 pickup, just as a very powerful offlaner. Not your position 1, but you know, a position 3 or something who can do horrific things. Picked up alongside a Shadow Shaman as well. That means that there's an awful lot of disable coming out of those lanes. I mean, that's 1 AoE stun, 1 single target disable, and then of course the infamous Shackle. And that's just in the first 2 heroes. So I have to wonder whether Scythe are going to be picking up. I mean, this to me looks like it's going to be tri-lane material. With Shadow and Centaur, nah. So far, I would say that's probably going to be an aggressive tri-lane. Not too sure. Just because you, as I said, I really don't think Centaur can do the position 1, and I really think they're going to want a solo safe on the safe lane rather than doing a defensive tri-lane with Centaur. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm also not a huge fan of Centaur going solo. Especially not if he's picked up this early in the game, because, you know, yeah, okay, he's decent even against lots of melee heroes, but a couple of ranged stuns can really leave him in trouble. Myth picking up Clockwork, which works really well with the Ancient Apparition pickup. Pop cogs off, suddenly Cold Feet's incredibly easy to land, AA's ult is incredibly easy to land. So very good pickup from them. And then Myth are taking the opportunity to ban out the Ember Spirit, who has just been doing crazy things in the metagame recently. Like, I think this might actually be the first game in a long time that he's made it to that stage of the draft. He's normally either banned in the first 4 or picked in the first 4.
To go.
Same deal with Invoker. So I'm actually surprised that it's taken him this long to be picked up by either team. And of course, you know, you got to be wondering. This is a quarterfinal.
Dyer's
When are the other matches happening? And Grumbleduke, are you going to be casting them? I will try and be casting them. Believe me, I will be trying by hook, tooth, or claw. But just in case I don't, and just so you guys know, the semi-final is
10
currently scheduled
seconds
to
to
be
go.
rocking off on the 9th of April, and the final should be on the 13th
5
of April. So
seconds.
pop those dates in your diary, and you can be sure you don't miss out.
Reserve
Now,
time.
side banning out the Spectre, and that is a very good pick. I had Gothic King, who hopefully is watching right now, give me a bit of info of what he knew about these two teams. Apparently, Myth is the
Radiance
only
ban.
team to have played Spectre consistently from Warcraft 3 days all the way up to now, through all the patches, through all the, you know, through hard times, fair times, and through foul. And I gotta say,
10
massive respect for that.
seconds
You
to
know,
go.
you're sacrificing being the best you can possibly be at
5
every moment for
seconds.
just learning a hero inside out. Um, and you know,
Reserve
both of these are
time.
teams who like to have a very, very global
Radiance
presence.
pick.
I'm sure Scythe could have run a very effective Spectre as well, but I do think that's a good ban for them. Myth would have been very deadly with that as their safe lane carry. And we really are seeing the focus on mobility kind of dictating these bans as well. So Puck banned out. Anybody who watches my stream will know that is probably my most hated hero in the world. Not because he's necessarily the best, he's just so incredibly annoying. It's him and
10
Windrunner with the laughs.
seconds to go.
And Storm Spirit being banned out as well, who's also got a very
5
annoying laugh,
seconds.
also a very highly mobile mid, very capable of ganking and just absolutely ruining face down in the side lane.
Reserve
So
time.
powerful bans coming out. What's kind of unusual is I don't really have the impression that either team has a clear idea. There's a lot of time being spent on each pick and ban. They're coming. Neither team's coming at this with a definite strategy already worked out. So to be banning mids when they're not even sure who their own mid is going to be yet, I find that slightly strange. You know, if you're countering people who'd be good against your mid, then you're also potentially giving away who your mid is, so your opponent can ban it as well. That might be what we're seeing here with this Puck and Storm Spirit. Yeah, but you know, it's all good. It's all fair in love and war. Sometimes the team just really doesn't want to see a Storm Spirit, and I can certainly appreciate Scythe just not wanting to see Puck ever. Also noticing that Scythe actually don't have their flag up, which makes me really, really sad. And yeah, anybody watching on stream might also have noticed I've got a 100 sub giveaway going on. Not going to talk about that too much, but for anybody who is interested in that, there are some mythicals on offer, and the details are all just down in the channel description. Now, you know, the great thing about these teams spending a lot of time coming up with their picks and their bans is yeah, it means that they're giving a well thought out game plan. I like the Mirana pick. The bad thing is, it does mean I've got to do quite a bit of filler, but that's going to cut down now as only 30 seconds of bonus time left for Scythe. Now, one combo that I just love, looking at the Scythe team just off the bat, the fact that they can do Stampede and then Invis, I think is just amazing.
10
that's
seconds
going to be crazy. That's a totally different lane.
5
but then suddenly two ults get popped and the entire Scythe team is going to be highly, highly mobile and very, very elusive. Of course, there's easily enough stun or disable on the Scythe team to enable Mirana to land any number of very, very easy arrows. I'm wondering whether it's going to be a support War Runner. No, you can't run a support War Runner. I mean, you can. It's just not really good. And I doubt it's going to be a carry Mirana. It must be a carry Mirana. I don't know. We'll see more picks. But I do love the IO pickup from Myth. Now, when I've seen them play him, that's been an IO mid, and they are geniuses at using the relocate on IO to first of all gank in the offlane. You know, you just suddenly have IO dropping in there for the crucial 10 seconds where he can really make a difference and get some damage in. But also then, and this is not something I've seen them do, but I really want to, if that gank goes really well, I want to see IO link to one of the other heroes, bring them back with him to mid, and kill mid as well. That is what I am just praying for. Scythe, yes, I feel like it's TI1 again. I feel like this is the free-to-play movie, and I'm watching Dendy. Pick up that Enigma. This is going to be amazing. Every single person on Scythe has a
10
a
seconds to
decent
go.
disable, one that is renowned for one thing or another. Mirana,
5
of course, it's a skill
seconds.
shot. It's difficult to land, but the stun can be huge. Enigma, just massive BKB going
Reserve
through
time.
craziness with Black Hole. Centaur Warrunner with a possibly the best level 1 stun at the game in the game, certainly one of the best, and Shadow Shaman with Shackle, which is just the most annoying thing in the world. It's
Radiance ban.
it's interesting. They're going to go for a heavy disable team, and I gotta say, I think Myth picking up the Tinker kind of avoids that a little bit, because of course Tinker, once he comes properly online, is just going to be bopping all over the map, pushing down this tower, pushing down that tower, moving on to the next one, and there's not going to be anything that can be done.
5 seconds.
Having heavy stun is going to be very useful for that, but most pro Tinker players tend to just be, you TP in and you immediately blink into the trees. It'll be very hard for them to slow down.
Pick.
Mirana's Leap is going to be quite useful for that, and of course, when you do have all this stun, it does mean that if you can get a latch on him, you can chain it all and kill him fairly easily. So that's going to be an interesting match. The danger is the very global presence now coming out from Myth. Clockwork's hookshot has the longest range of any hook in the game, enabling him to travel 3,000 in about a second, something like that. Tinker is going to get able to travel. Io is going to have relocate. Ancient Apparitions ult this global.
5 seconds.
This is going to be interesting. Scythe are really looking to team fight. They're looking to use Mirana ult to get into position for either the Warrunner Stomp or the wards in the Shackle or the Black Hole. Myth is going to be looking to push down towers, but they're going to be able to respond to any Scythe aggression very quickly. But wow, the anti-mage pickup as well. This really does feel like Dota from a year ago, and I love it. It could just be because I haven't been as up to date with the Asian scene as I am with the European and American scenes. But Enigma and Anti-Mage, those are two heroes I have not seen picked up in a fair while, and I'm really looking forward to this. So having a look at the lanes here, I can only assume, and assuming is always dangerous, that it is a Mirana mid for Scythe, Enigma presumably going in the jungle, Anti-Mage going to get Shadow Shaman supporting him on the safe lane, and then Centaur rocking the off lane. There are other ways they could do it. Enigma can always off lane, but I think they'd end up cluttering themselves a little bit if they did that. Over on Myth Trust, it's going to be, I think it's probably going to be a Tinker off lane or solo safe with the Io running mid. Now let's have a look at this. Let's do this seriously. I want to say Io mid because I know that Myth is a big fan of that. Tinker definitely is going to need solo, but I would say so with Clockwork. Maybe they're just running duels or something, and they'll balance out the XP with lane pulling and whatnot. But this is going to be a very interesting game, and they pick up CK as their hard carry. Also a hero I don't see a huge amount of. One I've really started liking recently. Just you've got to love the random number generation. Just it's ridiculous the amount of randomness involved in CK's abilities. But his ult, the illusion's probably the best in the game. They take double damage. That's actually I think less than most illusions. And they do full damage. So buff up your damage on Chaos Knight, pop them under a tower. Even if you're not in a team fight, that tower is going down, basically guaranteed. I think this is going to be an amazing matchup. The only thing about Chaos Knight is he doesn't quite fit up with the global lineup that Myth seem to be running, but of course they do have an IO, so that's going to be link and relocate anytime, anywhere, no problem. Nothing popping up in the chat about a delay. This is also the first pro game I've played in a while where they haven't immediately paused the second the game loaded in. Fingers crossed I didn't just jinx that.
Should be interesting.
So, introducing the Myth team. I'm just going to go in the order they are running out of base. We have TNK running on the IO. We have KYTZ running on the Clockwork. We have FTG on the Ancient Apparition, and we have Zedku on the CK. And then still back at base, we have Abba on the Tinker. Down here for Scythe, we have Miracle running on the Anti-Mage. Hey, Miracle. Wonder once he picks up his Manta whether he'll be able to pull off similar tricks that he normally does with Naga. We have Chibi running on the Enigma. Looks like he will be heading into the jungle. We have Freedom, I think that is, on the Shadow Shaman. We have Hana rocking on the Centaur, and then it looks like to be heading mid. We've got Peloton on the Marana. Now, big. This isn't exactly dire aggression, I don't think. Myth are just getting down here, making sure that they can block up all the camps. Which is a very wise choice given that there's an Enigma coming out. Choosing to use both sentries to block individual camps rather than just going, of course, for the obvious magic bush, which would block both with one. But I mean, that's a valid choice. That's a very valid choice. You need, if you put it on the magic bush, and it's got a high chance of being dewarded.
Battle starts in 3,
both
2,
both teams
1.
putting wards up.
Illusion.
These aren't my favorite wards. I have to say, this one is
Your funeral
doesn't give any vision of potential ganks coming out from Enigma from the jungle. That's my main problem with it. Looks like our lanes are going to be CK, IO, and AA. Rocking up on the off lane for Myth. They're going to be tri-laning, and quite a deadly tri-lane as well. Especially running up against the solo anti-mage being played by Miracle. Now, Blink is going to give him an awful lot of escape in this, but is it going to be enough? I'm really not sure that it is. Really not sure. Looking at this, we've got a Peloton on the Marana up against a Tinker mid, so I didn't get my my IO mid this time, which makes me a little bit sad. But I am very happy that that Tinker is getting. We've got Clockwork, KYTZ, really just exploring the Myth jungle, I think, which is a valid choice. Making sure that the Enigma there, who is actually lining up for a gank on mid, was forced out of position. FTG though going to spot out this attempted gank, and very wisely Abba choosing to run down the lane to bot rune so that he doesn't run back into any problem. Freedom though, really feeling like he's got the right to walk wherever he wants, whenever he wants. He's not getting any XP though right now. Like I think this is working against him right now, because the early gank that they were looking for didn't happen, and now they're in a position of kind of just losing a lot of XP. Anti-Mage going in there trying to get some harass on the CK, but he's going to be spotted out quite easily by IO, and actually ends up taking largely equivalent harass. So this is going to be tricky for him, I think. He just had all the CK and IO have to do is bring him fairly low, and then instantly just a stun and reality rift should be able to finish him off. Freedom now going to pick up a double damage rune, so he's got a whole new opportunity to try and get this this early ganking off. Possibly going to be spotted out by FTG here though, who is going to work on pulling the wave. Looks like he's not quite going to make it. It's good to know that other people don't always get that. that's very reassuring. Freedom now coming up with this DD rune. Looks like he wants to kill this camp very, very quickly, making sure that it's harder for the Myth team to pull. And I mean, he's kind of doing his job. He's putting enough attention on him over there next to the pool that Hana over here on the Centaur can actually get basically free farm. Now, Centaur versus Clockwork is going to be a very interesting lane. Centaur is one of those heroes where you generally don't want to get close, but with Clockwork you kind of have to in order to be effective. Certainly, if Centaur runs out of mana and can't use his stun, Clockwork may well think that that there might be something worth going for. But I'm kind of predicting that this is going to be a very passive lane. Watch first blood and second blood and third blood go down there, and I'll be totally wrong, but we'll see. There's just the potential for it to go wrong if either of them try too hard to initiate. Enigma. Oh, Chibi. Poor Chibi. He wants to farm. He wants a creep, but no creeps are to be found. Having a quick look at the last hits denies chart. CK, yeah, getting basically free farm. This anti-mage really can't do much to shut him down. Just going to take advantage of this quick pause to catch up on a couple of things. There we go. And let's have a quick look at the Steam chat, see what's going on. More of the first skills of every hero. Alright, no worries for that. Well, I'm afraid I've missed the first skills on quite a few of them. Anti-Mage, I'm pretty sure went for Blink first, going for a solo safe lane. Can't really consider him doing anything like that. Centaur similar reasons, escape related more than aggression related, almost certainly picking up stun. First point on Mirana. Afraid I missed that. Yeah, I'm afraid I missed the first points, guys. Shadow Shaman currently rocking around with Ether Shock and Shackle. Has managed to pick up level 2, which makes me really glad. And we got a really messy sideball going on up here from. I'm not even sure who started this off. There's everything going on here. And Clock probably going to be able to pick up most of the kills. But there's the Shackle with Freedom rotated up. That actually could have been a dead Clockwork, but didn't quite get enough stun down on it. Now, if Shadow Shaman had an extra level, maybe a Hex there, I really think they could have done something quite amazing. Quite amazing. Now we got Mirana though with a Haste Rune, and this could be trouble for the CK. The arrow's coming in, hits a ranged creep. That's going to immediately get denied by the Myth players, and Mirana is going to recognize that as probably means no gank, and head straight back to mid. They really don't want this Tinker to farm up. I mean, he's got his Soul Ring. He's going to be looking at Boots of Travel first, almost certainly, and once he gets them, that's going to be dangerous. Having a look at the items that we've got out now from both teams, I think probably the only thing that immediately strikes me about this is all it's fairly normal. Is Anti-Mage picking up Belt of Strength before Boots. He's obviously recognizing he's going to be taking a lot of harass in that lane, just wants the strength up, possibly before the movement speed. Especially with Blink, that's definitely a viable option. And no bottle up on the Tinker. Nice job there from Pelosin, dropping the agility, dropping the Wraith Band just to make sure he gets the absolute maximum benefit from his bottle. And Tinker now heading off into the jungle to just eat up some of these double stacks that have been prepared for him. And with March of the Machines, that is going to go by incredibly quickly. Now, Hannah here, actually with Freedom's help, going to be able to get the very best out of the side pull. Yep, totally manages to avoid. Oh, and now they've got a chance on Clockwork. They need to get this damage in. There's the stomp, I think a little bit early, and it's going to be first blood, almost certainly. Cogs goes down, Freedom's mana is drained, but unfortunately not enough to change anything. Looks like Pelosin and Chibi are looking to round off on mid, but there's nobody actually in the lane to help them go on this Ancient Apparition. There's an Invis rune sitting bot, which could really help either team. And we also have Chibi. He's being cheeky. He's going to try and chump up all of Centaur's farm here. Centaur's farm, Tinker's farm. Tinker on very, very low mana. He could use his Soul Ring, but then he'd be incredibly low. He is choosing to go on up there, using the Soul Ring and popping March of the Machines, hoping to time it just in time to get the big Satyr, and he does. So definitely a contest there from him. Very well played. He really wants that big Centaur as well. Now we've got Clockwork coming in, looking to catch on Chibi. Both of them have abilities that initiate a series of mini stuns. Unfortunately, it's just not working for the Clockwork. And now Abba in real trouble as Pelosin looking to leap and manages to get the pick off. Took quite a bit of damage there. Some very nice juking from Tinker, choosing a route which I think probably gave him the best chance of getting out, but it's just not enough, and he ends up going down. Doesn't even take too long. Now there's an Observer Ward up on mid. That's going to spot out most of the Scythe aggression, even though it's nighttime and normally wouldn't have vision of that area. Up top, KYTZ back up into lane, really looking to contest that Centaur's farm. Anti-Mage down on the bot lane, only has 6 last hits for the entire game, and I mean this is kind of the problem he's going to be facing. The XP is great. Let's have a look at the XP per minute. Yeah, he's doing much better there, coming up at 4th, but you know, he's one of those heroes that needs farm to really come online in terms of farming. Once he gets Battle Fury, he's one of the fastest farmers in the game. Until then, he's kind of got to be babysat. Like I would imagine that Scythe were probably expecting he'd have a fairly easy lane here, maybe going up against solo Clockwork or something. Arrow comes out on mid, totally misses FTG. Nothing more to say here, but Tinker is standing there. He's ready to go out, but unfortunately it turns out to be 3-on-2 in favor of Myth. I don't think Pelosin was expecting that, but Enigma and Mirana both managing to evade under cover of the Mirana Invis though, so it was possibly a bit of a waste on that. Also, Scythe managing to push up both of the side lanes. Beautiful stun there from Hannah, followed by the Stampede. This is going to be enough. Centaur Warrunner does take the kill. I think Miracle was blinking up there
Dyer's
to
middle
get it,
tower
but
is being attacked.
no problem. Is no big
Dyer
deal.
has fortified its structures.
And with that pressure that Scythe are actually putting on, they can now push pretty much every lane.
Dyer's bottom tower is being attacked.
You know, the only person not involved in all of this is Shadow Shaman, who can actually probably benefit from the solo XP, given that he hasn't got his ult yet.
Dyer's top tower is
But
under
mid
attack.
is almost down.
So there's that.
Bottom is currently going unopposed. Top is also unopposed, although Shadow Shaman is now moving down to mid. Looking to finish off this jungle camp. That will not quite
Dyer's middle
give him
tower
his
has
ult.
been destroyed.
But that's certainly on the way. Certainly on the way. Perhaps with this creep wave? Next creep wave.
Dyer's
Next creep
bottom
wave for
tower
sure.
is under
Probably
siege.
not a problem.
Oh dear.
Probably.
Wow, Pelosin doing a great job there. Diving. Very, very ambitious dive. Now
Dyer's
looking
top
to
tower
dodge
is under
the
siege.
inevitable clockwork hook, which unfortunately wasn't going to happen. Did a very good job with the arrow there. Very interesting bait. Paused so the clockwork wouldn't be sure where to go, and then took advantage of that. But it's not going to be enough. That's very sad. But an excellent kill on the Tinker, and Tinker's one of those heroes who you have to kill early, because killing him late is just so damn hard. So I'm not sure whether completely worth, given that Mirana's been the mid, but yeah, certainly at least an even trade. I tend to want more decisive things than that, but that was definitely worth it for them. Now it looks like Scythe are getting ready to round up on top. We do have wards up on Shadow Shaman. There's a blink initiation from Hannah. There's the beautiful Io relocates in, brings the CK with him, but that goes straight into a black hole. That must have been the worst relocate in the history of Dota. I'm not having a go at the players at all, but just so unlucky. You just turn up and suddenly you've lined up the perfect Enigma black hole. That is
Dyer's top tower
wow.
has been destroyed.
That is going to really hurt. Scythe now with an 8-for-1 lead. I mean, they are most certainly the favourites to win here. I was chatting with some people beforehand. It's always nice to see underdogs come off, and Myth I've seen pull off some really clever plays before. That unfortunately did not go in their favour, and they're going to have to make something work to come back from this 8-for-1. Of course, though, a farming Tinker is something that is very, very hard to stop, no matter what is going on.
Dyer's bottom
once
tower
online,
is being attacked.
Where is Boots? Still a mile off, but the let's have a quick look at this courier. There it comes, Boots of travel up on Tinker. Thought it should be about now. Glad that was fairly right. Oh, an anti-mage blinks away, but ends up blinking straight onto Tinker. Then gets a beautiful hook shot in. There's the AAL, there's the cogs, and that is a dead anti-mage. Wow, chose the wrong direction to blink in, I'm afraid, buddy. That was funny. Tinker's just going to hide in the woods, wait for the mana to use his Boots of Travel. Looks like there's an initiation on FTG though. He's going to go down, but Aya was relocated in with CK. Is this going to be another potentially mistaken relocate? No, it doesn't look like it is. They're going to chase off the Mirana, looking for an easy Shadow Shaman kill. Doesn't look like they're going to get it. Doesn't look like they're going to get it. But in other news, Centaur finishing off Io very, very neatly. We've now got Anti-Mage TPing bot trying to end this push from Tinker. I mean, here's the thing. The Scythe team is doing a great job without Anti-Mage. Tinker pushing every lane up until the point when it gets to tier 3 down kind of just means that Anti-Mage will always have somewhere to farm without having to cross the river. So, I mean, Scythe I think certainly have the late game potential here. Certainly if we're talking about team fight late game potential, Anti-Mage I think the scariest person on the board at the moment. CK maybe CK quite a ways behind in my opinion. And also CK currently being ganked by Mirana. Pelosin really just not taking no for an answer for in any of these engagements, being so divey, and I love it. If he'd managed to pick off that CK, and it really was just the creep wave that was in the way there. If it hadn't been for the creep wave, he would have been able to land an arrow and really just wreck face. We're in the situation now though with CK actually having to run back to base. Scythe wondering whether they're going to be able to take advantage of that and push mid. Doesn't look like they are, but they can always try and rotate to top. They are going to get spotted out by this observer ward, so it's a little bit of a risk. Yep, here we go. Myth rotating very, very quickly to deal with that. CK hasn't gone for any point in his ultimate. I think that is fairly valid, given that, yeah, one illusion, not that great. Having a quick look at the XP graph, though, I mean, it's what you would expect from a 10-2 lead, where Tinker hasn't managed to get a tower down, basically. Big stomp coming in, though, with Scythe basically just saying, yeah, we don't care if you're defending this tower, we're just going to initiate straight in. Now, Clockwork, KYTZ does manage to get in, manages to take out the Enigma, but unfortunately gets killed himself, and that's the only pick-off they get. Now, Tinker may be able to defend this. Oh, or at least deny it, hopefully. That's what they're going to have to go for. Nope, wards are going to get it.
Top tower has fallen.
Wow, that tower was lower than I expected. But what I was going to say was, even if he'd been able to defend that tower, that would have been, okay, we got a Tinker, we can use him to defend all our towers. You know, that's not what Tinker's for. Tinker is for being aggressive. When you see a Tinker forced onto the back foot, having to use his boots of travel to defend towers rather than attack them, you're seeing a Tinker who's not getting the game that he wanted to get. AA ult actually, yeah, very, very powerful ability. Didn't quite make the impact I thought it would do on this game. Not. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. Gonna have a quick look at the. Oh, I was going to say I'll have a quick look at the Skype chat because I care about all your opinions, but it does look like Miracle might just be spotted out here by the AA and the Clockwork. If only they knew. If only they knew where he was. Another blink into the vision of another Myth player. This time it's AA. Doesn't have the lockdown to immediately secure that though, and Clockwork not in position to pick it up. Pelosin again just trying to be incredibly aggressive and basically just distract the entire Myth team. And it kind of works. Now pop the invis. They're actually in a great position to loop round and go up on that CK. They're not going to though. Instead, we're choosing to go in on the AA and the Clockwork. Beautiful, beautiful stun from Enigma. Blink initiation from Hannah, and Clockwork has to back off. He's standing at the front here, almost baiting out the hook. You know, if Clockwork would have hooked in here, right underneath the. Oh, they're going on CK. Very, very bold. Enigma does a nice blink in, lands a black hole. Stunned out a bit though by the hook in from Clockwork, who does manage to get a 3-person cogs up, but dies for his troubles. CK survives that, which is a victory there, I think, for Clockwork. But now with 2 heroes up, mid's gonna go down. It already has. And what have they got to stop this? You know, at this stage in the game, about the only good thing you can say is, well, at least, you know, their cooldowns are short when they die. But that's not what you want to be hearing. Having another quick look at the last hits and denies. Enigma, now king of the last hits chart. Okay, Tinker making his presence known. But we're seeing the carries are getting the farm. Anti-Mage not fully recovered from his early game, but he has picked up a Battle Fury now. That will speed up very, very quickly. CK picking up drums. Now, I personally am not a fan of drums as a hard carry item. Even on fast hard carries, where the point is, if you pick up drums, you can move like a race car. It's just, I don't like it. Yeah, like, okay, you got an IO on the team. Let IO get it and have IO stick with CK the entire time. Get the benefit of the aura. CK can work on something, you know, BKB or just something. BKB maybe not in this game, but something. Not yet anyway. I'm gonna have a quick look at the nope, no time for Twitch chat, Grumble. This is not the time. There's a potential courier kill. Oh, the courier, the chicken has exploded. And it looks like, yep, Clockwork has as well. That's very, very sad. Myth, I think, bravely fighting, and as I said, you know, Tinker, one of those heroes who can come back from. He plays a different game to the rest of the heroes, so very hard to work out whether or not it's GG or not. But Rack's about to go down, 17 for 3 lead to Scythe. Having a look at the XP, that's about 15,000 XP. It's about 20,000 gold, and this is at less than 20 minutes into the game. So basically, Scythe have been farming up 1,000 gold per minute more than Myth, and that is one of the
Dyer's
most
middle
ridiculous
barracks is
statistics I've
under
ever heard in
attack.
my entire life. And there's the GG call.
Dyer's middle
I
barracks
think
has fallen.
quite a wise GG call.
Radiant's top tower is
I hope
under
nobody will be
attack.
offended at me saying that.
Victory for
Hopefully,
Radiant.
this is of course a best of 3, as you can tell from the tournament things up here. I'll be switching to the Be Right Back screen, but you know, we're going to be seeing a lot more from these guys in the next game, I'm sure, and I'm 100% that Myth are going to pull something out of the bag. And yeah, if the Black Holes had gone differently from Scythe, this would have been a massively different game. That's the kind of hero Enigma is. Anybody who's watching the stream, I hope you enjoyed. I do have a 100 sub giveaway, as you may have guessed by the little logo on the screen there. Yeah, well, have a look at the rules down below. I don't want to talk about it too much in the stream. And stay tuned. We'll be getting to the next match very shortly. I'll post in the chat about how long that's going to be.
Dire's ban. Radiant team ban.
Alright, hello everybody, we are back in for game 2 of the first quarterfinal of the joinDota League Asia 1 division. This is Scythe against Mith. Scythe pulling off a very quick, very decisive first game win in this best of 3 quarterfinal. The winner moving on to play, I believe it is Titan? Yes, it's they'll be moving on to play Titan on the 9th of April in the semi-finals, and yeah, basically we've seen these two teams. They've got a lot at stake with this match now. There's the whole prize pool is up for grabs. They've made it all the way up to these final rounds, and I gotta say they're two of my favorite teams. So I'm really looking forward to what we're gonna see coming out of them. But and again, we're seeing the Invoker and Naga bans. Still haven't seen the Ember Spirit being picked up or banned, just like in the first game. Scythe again going for the Centaur Warrunner. They felt he gave them an awful lot in the previous game. They were certainly using Stampede to great effect to initiate. They were using it in that context in combination with a Marana ult. And I gotta say, Myth have got to consider what they're going to do about that. They didn't have any natural magic immunity in the previous game, which made them very, very vulnerable to everything Centaur can do. The bans, on the other hand, it's the same story as we had in the last game. When playing against Scythe, basically when playing against Miracle, let's be honest, you ban Naga because he's very, very good at Naga. Unfortunately, that does tend to leave certain key tier 1 heroes who are, in every other context, almost always banned, still in the pool. Like we still have the Ember Spirit. Who else are we missing? The AA has also made it in past the first round of bans this match, just like the last time. There's still Dazzle. Lycan's been taken out. He's that's fair enough. If we'd seen the Ember Spirit instead of the Naga, I would have said that is the most typical set of 4 bans you could get in the early game. There's the AA. I like the AA. I'm just wondering whether the impression I'm getting, because Myth have had an opportunity to pick up to pick up the Ember Spirit twice now. The impression I'm getting from them is that they know they have to consider it because he is generally considered to be so overpowered in the meta. I don't know whether it's just a hesitation on their part because perhaps they don't have an Ember player who they feel is really happy going up against Scythe. But they keep picking heroes which I'm afraid are leaving too much open for Scythe. Going for Shadow Shaman now, that's another very good combo with AA. Cold Feet being basically insta-procced with Shackle. It also denies Scythe the ability to pull off the same combo they were doing last time with the Centaur Warrunner, which I think might be very, very useful. Shadow Shaman's I mean, you also can of course say, oh well, yeah, and Shadow Shaman's ult is amazing for pushing, and that is of course true. Point of fact though, Scythe didn't actually rely on that for pushing in the previous game. If you remember that, towers were going down before Shadow Shaman even hit 6. He wasn't joining in with the pushes so that he could farm up experience. And they certainly helped after that though. It's a game-changing ult.
5 seconds.
But if you really want to talk about game-changing ults, we got to point again to Scythe picking up this Enigma. Picking up the Enigma this time. Now, yeah, I really, really like that pickup. I think he's an amazing hero. I think he's an incredibly difficult hero to use. It's game-changing. If you mess up 3 black holes in a row, the game is almost certainly lost unless someone else in your team is playing amazing. It's just that kind of ult. If you land it decently, say on 3 or 4 heroes, 5 ideally, if you land it decently 3 or 4 times, the game should be pretty much won, unless your opponents are doing amazing things. So I like the pickup. I think it also sets up beautifully for a Centaur Warrunner stomp. The great thing about Enigma, it's not just an AoE disable. If it was, then you could come up with other examples. It's an AoE disable that draws everybody in towards a single point. That's why it's called Black Hole. That means that, when you're dealing with a Centaur, when you're dealing with anybody who's got an AoE that's not the biggest AoE, you could be talking about Anti-Mage's ult, you could be talking about Centaur's Stomp, you could be talking about Sven's Stun, but all of these abilities, suddenly, you'd never believe that you could land them on 5 heroes at once until you put an Enigma on the team. So I like the combo they've got going on there. Again, I'm wondering whether we're going to see Enigma as an offlaner or as a jungler. He is one of the few heroes who can semi-reliably jungle, in my opinion. But part of the reason for that is because he only basically needs a blink dagger and maybe a BKB before he becomes very, very, very dangerous. I still don't think he's. I still don't think the jungle is the best way to get XP, basically. So I wouldn't put him in the jungle unless they really want to free up the lane XP for other heroes, which they may want to do, which I think is the reason he's generally put into the jungle. Because yeah, even though it's pretty rubbish, he can get what he needs from it fairly quickly. Myth now picking up the Nyx Assassin, so they're actually kind of wanting to run the same very heavy stun disable strategy that Scythe were using in the last game, which I think it's a bold choice. You see it a lot in best of 3 matches, especially that the previous rounds of play massively affect what's chosen in later rounds of play, and it makes total sense. Ish, you know, you've got an insight into how your opponents are feeling today. You've got an insight into how they're playing. So maybe there's some good information you can draw from that. Often I see a lot of reflexive play as well, though. So, for example, if you were just beaten by Nature's Prophet and Nature's Prophet, Shadow Shaman, and Death Prophet, I've seen a lot of heroes being like, right, well, it's like unconsciously you suddenly start treating pushing strategies like they're the best, and so the people who didn't use it in the previous game then just go all out push in the next game, and it sometimes doesn't work. Doesn't look like Myth are doing that though. You know, Nyx Assassin, very, very different hero. He's got the stun, that's very true, but I don't think they're falling into the trap of putting too much focus on the previous game. Scythe also picking up Visage, very, very powerful hero at the moment, and I think making a little bit. I mean, I would say making a comeback. That makes it sound like he was ever unpopular. I just mean making a comeback to the days where he was just picked all the time. Like I've seen carry Visage. It's Visage. And any Americans out there who would naturally say Visage, I respect our cultural differences, but it's our language. So the final ban's coming out. We do see the Ember Spirit ban. Again, I kind of think he deserves to be picked up by any team if he makes it past the first set of bans. But certainly, yeah, ban him out, whatever. Then we're going again for the Spectre ban from Scythe, because Myth are fairly legendary with Spectre. Gothic King giving us a stat last game that Myth have been playing Spectre since Warcraft 3. For them, it's not a you know, patch by patch what's best, it's just Spectre all the way. Myth, on the other hand, choosing to ban out highly mobile mids, and you can see why. They picked up the Storm Spirit with highly mobile mids banned out. That basically guarantees Storm Spirit the room control. They're also banning out the Tinker. They don't want Scythe to try and do to them what they tried to do to Scythe last game. But I gotta say, I think Queen of Pain would still be able to contest the Storm Spirit's room control, and actually the Queen of Pain Enigma combo would have been absolutely deadly. I would have been really surprised if Scythe picked up Puck. I probably would have gone for the Queen of Pain ban personally, but that's just me. What do I know? Huh? What do I know? Morphling ban out coming from Scythe, and you know, it's certainly the right position. That's what Myth need to be picking up, and it would be an amazing pickup. I think it would work very, very well with their team. It adds to the high mobility of Storm Spirit. Morphling just being one of the slipperiest heroes in the game. He narrowly avoids my hatred list going on with the likes of Puck for just being incredibly slippery and horrible to try and kill. He just misses that by a margin, just a little margin. As we wait for these final picks, I do just want to quickly point out to people, I won't talk about this too much in the stream, but I do have a 100 sub giveaway going on at the moment. There are mythicals up for grabs. If you wouldn't mind having a look down at the rules that are described in my channel description, that would be great. And then I don't need to talk about it during the casts. Running down the bonus time here. Now, I'm always curious. I wish I could read the minds of the drafters, because I always want to know whether the clock is being run down because they're genuinely not sure, or because they're just trying to psych out the opponents a little bit, or just take their time, or maybe like work, you know, strategize on some other point, and you know, use the 40 seconds of free time you've got there to do that. Going for the DK. That gives them a decent amount of push. It works well with Shadow Shaman. It's also a nicely tanky mid. My concern is, yeah, you know, he's going to be relying an awful lot on BKB, and you're going to have Doom, and you're going to have Enigma, and you're going to have a whole load of things can do horrible things to a Dragon Knight. Doom also going to basically shut down any attempt that Storm Spirit makes to gank early game. But I think what it's going to come down to an awful lot in this instance is whether Pelosin on the Doom can land the Doom on the appropriate targets. If he can, that's amazing. If he can't, that's going to be a bit of a problem. And I'm just going to rock up mid lane here and move on to introducing the Scythe team. As mentioned, we have Pelosin going out on the Doom, and I'm actually going to take a quick moment to have a look at that because I think that's a pretty cool Doom. The sword's not as good as mine, but I forgive him. Chibi, again, rocking out on the Enigma. Hopefully, he's thinking, hopefully they won't ward up all my camps this match. Hannah rocking out on the Centaur. Heading mid, we've got Miracle rocking out on the Shadow Demon. And who am I missing? Who am I missing? There we go. It's Freedom, who announced in the lobby that he's no longer going by the name Freedom. He's going by the name Infinity symbol. As long as he doesn't think infinity is a number, that's fine. And now over on the Myth team, KYTZ on the Nyx Assassin. We have ABBA going on the DK mid. Actually, it's going to be a
30 seconds.
Where? It's going to be a Storm Spirit safe lane heavy carry, being played by Zedku, and we've got FTG going on the Shadow Shaman, and down here we got TNK on the Ancient Apparition. Calling for defense of the tier 2 bot tower, because that tower is seriously in danger right now. And yeah, a lot less early game rotations coming out from both teams.
Let's begin.
I mean, I've got to wonder there whether Myth are just kind of thinking, well, you know, it didn't really secure us too much early game last time. Maybe not worth doing. Enigma taking the ranged creep out of the mid wave, just denying some immediate XP to the DK. And that's very well played. Nips back to base to fill up his mana. I'm wondering what he's going to do with these Eidolons. If he sends them straight to mid and DK can just farm them up, then you're actually not helping mid at all. You're making it much worse. Oh, but they're actually going to get harassed maybe and get him out of lane. Oh, maybe. Well, they certainly managed to throw DK off for a while. And he didn't manage to get any extra kills there on the minions, so that's good. KTZ taking the infamous Visage harass there. Nice long range, nice stun. Slow, sorry. Go away, Pelosin. Nobody wants to see you. But I'm intrigued at this lane. It's Storm Spirit going safe lane carry. Now, I'm not saying that can't work. What it needs though is the other people in this lane to be getting basically no experience. Now, Ancient Apparition, unfortunately, is getting experience, which is absolutely terrible. No, I'm joking. But yeah, they need to be doing an awful lot of this. And I just want to point out, I really like what FTG is doing here, because a lot of people, since chain pulling kind of became popular, have they just chain pull. And chain pulling is great. Chain pulling is something you should always do. But here's the thing, kids. Double stack as well. Now, he didn't get a double stack there, but he was going for it earlier. If you double stack, you're making sure that even if you screw up the chain pull, or the enemy screws with the chain pull, you're probably going to get something. Now, pulling a wave into a single small camp, if anything, that often just kind of hurts you, because it means that all your creeps are low, and therefore fairly easy to last hit. But none of the experience has actually been denied if none of them died, and that can happen very easily with a single easy camp. So go for 2 anyway, and then, you know, at worst you won't have to worry as much about chain pulling all the time. I'm not entirely sure why double stacking fell off so sharply on the full camp when it got switched to easy. Yeah, whatever. I could talk for ages about that and miss what's going on in the match, so I'm going to stop. Let's have a look at the last hits denies. Shadow Fiend coming out on top with 16, but Storm Spirit managing to get the farm on the safe lane with yeah, Centaur really just doesn't want to go anywhere near that. And I think that's a very wise choice. There's a smoke gank going on though. Centaur getting almost close enough to spot it out, but not quite. FTG wants to get up on this Shadow Fiend. Are they going to have enough time on the smoke? Okay, they are going to have enough time on the smoke. They're going to try and loop around, get in there. They'll have Shackle, they'll have Cold Feet, and that would be a dead Shadow Shaman very quickly, I think. They're calling for it, but unfortunately at the same time, Centaur coming in from the other side. There's the Shackle. He's going to stun out the Shadow Shaman, interrupt the Shackle, but it's not enough. And yeah, Shadow Shaman falls, Miracle dying, giving away first blood, kill going to Ancient Apparition. So not the best, but certainly not the worst. That's a little bit of XP for him. He's been very XP starved, and yeah, it's going to let DK hopefully catch up a little bit on these last hits. Of course, that's the big thing about Shadow Fiend. You know, he collects souls. They give him more damage. When you kill him, he loses them. So not bad, not bad. He's going to be doing less damage because of that gank, which I love. Confusing side pulls again going on top lane. Who hasn't heard of that 100 times? It's this pull. It's not that I think it's awful. It's just I would need to see like heavy statistical proofs that it is actually better as opposed to just potentially beating a team. Miracle actually taking a lot of harass here from the DK, deftly dodging a raise there. Well done from ABBA. He's got Flame Breath up, but oh no, here come the rotations from Scythe, and that is an over-aggressive Dragon Knight, giving away the kill again. And yeah, I think Miracle's probably pretty happy there that that DK tried to kill him. Having a quick look at the starting items, we've got boots out on pretty much everyone on the Myth team. That's very good. Visage, no items. No items. I believe that's called a ward bitch by Americans, but I've never used such a horrific word, of course. Pelosin now wants to move in a little bit on the Nyx. I mean, they're getting so much harass on this guy. KYTZ possibly being a little bit over-aggressive here. Now we're seeing an interesting situation developing mid. Both, well, Miracle actually has his 6, but of course has not put any points into his ulti. ABBA does not have his 6, but he's going to be looking to push very, very soon. As soon as that does come up. Doom as well. Once he hits 6, this is going to be a Nyx in trouble. A Nyx in so much trouble. Now I can only assume that Scythe are intending to push here. Otherwise, clearing out that camp rather than pulling it made absolutely no sense. So fingers crossed that that'll be what they're planning to do. Lots of casual farming going on various lanes. Gank attempt going on mid again with Shadow Shaman, but again, it's like Scythe just know. You know, it didn't actually help them last time, but every time Myth are trying to maneuver in and shut down the Shadow Fiend's farm, there's always a Centaur just round the corner, or you know, a Visage about to swoop in through the jungle, and it's just shutting them down. They need to be able to gank the Shadow Fiend, and what they're running into, which isn't actually very common, is a team that is fully aware of that and is going to defend their Shadow Fiend to the death. But then again, I don't play Pro Dota. It's a lot more normal there. You don't get it a lot in pubs. The downside, of course, to Centaur being quite so active and quite so protective of mid is, you know, this Storm Spirit, far from being shut down by being forced into a tri lane when he's normally a solo laner, he's at basic free farm, picking up all the mana items. He's going to have hundreds of mana. Not entirely sure that's. I don't entirely get that, but sure, okay. I mean, am I missing something here? Is there something you brought up? 2 Sage Masks? Oh, of course, yeah, okay, he's building into Orchid. He's just picking up the mana regen items first. I'm more used to seeing that build quarterstaff by quarterstaff. But yeah, whatever, all's good. Gank attempt going on mid, the black hole's down, there's the raise, and that's 2 kills. Easy as pie. That's the, yeah, should have really mentioned that. I was saying Queen of Pain. Oh, that is hilarious. That was a vendetta kill on a courier. Come on now, is that really necessary? Yes, it was really necessary. It was a good call because he wasn't going to kill anything else with that vendetta. But wow, that courier just exploded. But yeah, I was saying during the draft, you know, Queen of Pain would work great with Enigma. They ended up going for Shadow Fiend, and that works great as well. Not quite as mobile, but even more AOE to chuck into the middle of that black hole, hitting every single enemy hero. Centaur here does not have Blink up yet. He's still about 1,000 gold off it as well. Even when he gets it, the courier's down, and he's the only one who's looking to defend this tier 1. Still got about half health. I would think that we're going to be seeing an awful lot of TPs coming in from Scythe, but unfortunately not a single TP on the Scythe team. Wow, that is something I'm used to seeing a lot in pubs, but I'm kind of surprised to see that coming out from Scythe. I appreciate they have been already doing a lot of rotating, but you know, I would have expected them to either pick up 2 TPs if they knew that they were going to be using them very soon, or just make getting one top priority, because I think there's actually going to be a tower down now for Myth, and that's fairly decent early gold. 10-minute tower, going straight to DK as well.
Has been destroyed.
So yeah, interesting plays. I mean, I'm not entirely sure why they let that one go. I guess it was just kind of maybe everybody thought everybody else had a TP, and there was just a little bit of a brain fart when it came to communication. I'm not sure. But either way, it's worked out the way it has. Now Miracle looking to stick his nose into mid lane. I'm wondering whether Scythe are thinking that they can get this mid tower in exchange. And actually, with Nyx TPing in, Pelosin in massive danger of being caught out here. Doom is dropped, I think, on a creep. Doom was dropped on a creep, ladies and gentlemen. Pelosin kind of dropping the ball here. I said it would be very important that Doom manage, you know, the skill with which Doom drops Doom. Turns out I was actually wrong, because he just dropped it on a creep, and there's still 1 for 0 at this stage. Yeah, creep. Yep. Other casters are noticing this. Doom does get finished off by Ancient Apparition, but so does Storm Spirit. Now it's going to be a question of, do Scythe think that they can push this tier 1 mid without Doom? And to be honest, I think they can. I really honestly think they can. Shadow Shaman is still a mile off. Chibi's just using the opportunity to try and get down some farm here, but they do need to do something about this Dragon Knight. They need him out of the picture before they try and push this down. And now Shadow Shaman's up. I want to say, oh, Ward's still not down though. DK pops his ult, looking for that ranged stun. There it is. Actually stuns him just outside the AA ult, I think, but does manage to get the pick up. And gonna farm up some quick goals in the Eidolons as well. But now Doom headed up top. He's probably feeling very ashamed. That's the first time I've seen a Doom mess up that badly in a pro game. Not that I think I would do any better at all, of course. And yeah, they are pushing top, while at the same time though Myth pushing mid. Both familiars down. We've had Dust pop now on the Nyx. Infinity, I'm going to call him Freedom for this match. I'll get used to changes later. Miracle and Pelosin now coming up behind the Myth push, getting the Doom down, this time on Nyx. Now we've got the AA, although coming in, making Pelosin and Miracle really low. Not enough to kill them though, and they are able to finish off their foes, and they'll have a pretty safe retreat here, I think. Yeah, they can just easily get back, even farm up some wards on the way out. So yeah, well played by them, I think. That was a good call. And now, really, they're in a position to push down some more towers, I think. They really need to be doing that. They got down mid, which is often the hardest defended tower, but we are still looking for both of the side towers. Now they've got almost a 5,000 gold experience lead. They've got, it's been a lot more bumpy, but they've got a 1,500 gold lead. But I mean, you know, that's quite significant. They have a gold lead despite being behind on towers. Now, oh, this is interesting. Pelosin TPing in up top, looking for the defense. Unfortunately, just as a smoke gank is planned out here. There's the Hex, there's the Impale. Doom surely going to go down here. Shackle drops. Immediately cancelled in response to all the TPs that are coming in. Stampede is dropped. That's going to be a dead Shadow Shaman. And the rest of the team cleaning up Nyx Assassin in lane as well. And now they've got the perfect position to push this top tower. Defense being called on bot. I gotta say, at that stage, I would say just leave it. The tower will deal with it. Top is looking a little bit more urgent with all this going on. All this. Yeah, I mean they're actually just using that ranged creep as the only thing stopping the backdoor protection that they have, and they're still getting decent damage. Big rotation here now from Myth. They want to come up here and try and do something. Trying to get rid of those familiars, but they're getting the Scythe team such good vision. Now the tower is incredibly low. If they leave now, which they're going to do, it won't be in deny range. Well played there from Scythe. Had they pushed it a little bit harder or kind of got into the oh no but we can get it stage, then it would almost certainly have been denied and they could well have lost heroes as well. Let's have a quick look-ski at the item chart. There we go. Storm Spirit picking up Oblivion Staff. He's got a Quarterstaff now. So actually, Orchid not very far off for him. But Shadow Fiend with a Midas and the Mithril Hammer and Ogre Club for his BKB. Oh, there it is. The Blink Initiation. Hannah though gets immediately shackled, and now the wards are dropped. Chibi and Hannah both going down to a combination of wards and AA ult, and that was beautifully responded to there by Myth. The Hex coming out of Shadow Shaman, I think basically saving the day here, followed up by a beautiful shackle. And now ABBA wants to push the tower. Miracle is still around, so is Pelosin. I mean, they didn't take out the most important heroes on the Scythe team, but they do have a 5-3 advantage here right now. And ABBA using the health regen from what am I talking about? Health regen? Confusing with Alchemist. ABBA just happily tanking the tower while the creep wave catches up. Now pinging out that creep cap. Let's destroy it, everyone. I don't think that needs to fall, to be 100% honest. Yeah, Nyx, you're safe. You can leave. DD rune bot gonna be spotted out by the Dire, and we do have Storm Spirit, I assume, coming in to pick it up. Oh no, Storm Spirit's not around. It'll go to Miracle. He's going to use that double damage rune very effectively, actually, to just absolutely murder Roshan. I mean, that's 83 plus 158 damage coming out at 14 minutes into the game. That is absolutely huge. Yeah, absolutely massive. Poor Roshan. Well, Roshan does scale as the game progresses, becoming more powerful, getting more armor, etc. So he's a lot weaker at the early game, and having 200 damage, that's kind of just unfair. Bad Miracle. Bad. Poor Roshan. Not even giving him a chance. And now they're just lining up for a tier 2 now. I think the idea is, behind their movement at the moment... Oh no, sorry, the tier 1 is still up.
Radiant's bottom tower is being attacked.
Oh, Miracle. He's being bold, but he doesn't realize just that the entire Myth team is basically here, and he's going to go down. He's got the Aegis, of course, though, so... I mean, it was the Aegis popped in addition to a kill on the AA. In exchange for tower down. I like that. I like that. Hannah at the same time basically now can get free farm up top. He's got his blink dagger, of course. I am having a quick look. I'm assuming he might go pipe. Yeah, he's going to go pipe. A fair amount of damage coming out from Myth is magical, and pipe just a great item on Central as well. It gives you magic resistance. And yeah, you're taking magic damage every time you do double edge. So a little bit of resistance there, very very useful. Big creep wave now being built up on the bot lane for Scythe. I mean they are 12 for 5 in this game. I'm wondering whether we're even going to see this get onto a third game. Of course, always better if it does. Always better if it does. But they've got decent late game carries. They've got a lot of push. Right, this is going to be a tricky game, I think, for Myth to come back from. But you know, last few team fights definitely in favor of Myth. They've been responding beautifully to over-aggression and lack of positioning for Scythe. Let's have a quick look at the gold graph. Yeah, I mean, you're seeing significant bumps in favor of Myth when they get these team fights off. Unfortunately, it's not consistent, and against a team of Scythe's caliber, it has to be consistent. Now, with the wards popped on this top tier 2, Scythe really have no chance of defending it, but if they can take a tier 2 in exchange, they are actually going to try and defend it, or at least get the deny. Pelosin's down, going to finish off FTG. Now this tower is going to be deniable, I think. I don't think there's... That was beautifully played there from Scythe, you know. And the stomp to interrupt that TP, another pick off on the AA. And there's a tower deny. Beautiful, beautiful play. I didn't think they'd be able to get back there in time, so I was going to say, you know, it's worth it then if they've wasted a beautiful ult like Shadow Shamans to get a tier 2 down in exchange, because then you've got it without wasting an ult, and your opponent has wasted an ult. But to actually get that done that quickly and then have time to TP back and get the deny off, I'm very impressed at that. Very, very impressed. Familiars now, kind of just doing the farming. I think they would be more useful scouting. There's a lot of heroes on the Mist team where Scythe don't know where they are right now, and you want to know where your opponents are, particularly when there's a Storm Spirit and a DK in the mix. Looks like they're grouping up to smoke. Nope, no smoke coming out. They are looking to make slight moves onto mid, I want to say. We shall have to see what happens with that. Okay, I mean it's kind of hard to talk about what they're doing when they're not doing anything, but that's kind of something in itself. They can't afford to have DK especially just sitting around in a group of 5 doing absolutely nothing. There's got to be clear plans, and if there's not a clear plan, he's got to just be farming. You know, no walking around with the group until you work out what it is you want to do. And now he'll be looking to pick up some decent farm here. I think misjudging the damage there on his Dragon Breath, so in fact most of the Eidolons are going to escape. Pings coming out on coming out on Storm Spirit, but I'm not entirely sure how they would be planning on doing this. I mean, they could always burn Doom. That would be decent, but I gotta say, I think that would result in just very, very heavy pushing from Myth. And in fact, yep, Myth, now they're finally using that smoke. They are going to go up with the Storm Spirit, I guess, kind of acting as bait in lane, attracting the Doom and the Centaur up there. But Scythe, beautiful game sense. Oh, please have beautiful game sense. Please have beautiful game sense. Run away. And Doom is going to get caught out here without a doubt. Just absolutely destroyed. There's a Hex. Oh, Shackle is actually absolutely necessary as he's going to escape. Oh, wow. I mean, Shadow Shaman was just like, hey, where are you guys? Unfortunately, there had been initiations then from Myth. The Black Hole goes down. Unfortunately, Hex immediately takes it out of that. Now it's Doom down in exchange for Nyx and Storm Spirit. DK seriously on the run. Miracle chasing after him, trying to get as much damage on as he can. The BKB is going to wear off in a sec. And that's a 10-second BKB wasted from DK. They got the Doom, but they lost Storm Spirit and Nyx in exchange. And this is not a match where you want to be outnumbered for any length of time. AA also going to go down, so now it's just DK and Shadow Shaman. I mean, probably the best push / counter pushes on the Myth team, other than maybe AA. No, not other than AA. The best, I think. But 2 against 5, I'm not sure they're going to be able to slow this down. And Doom already back up as well. This game not going in Myth's favour either. I mean, I like their draft. I like what they're doing. I think they're playing well. But I am thinking that we've got a how to put this, a scale of skill situation going on here. Scythe, I think, are playing more coordinated. I think they're playing with greater skill with the heroes they're using. I think possibly also they've chosen heroes that they are very, very good at. You know, we're not seeing any Nagas. Myth haven't let them have that. But the Enigma and Centaur play I've been hugely impressed with. Doom, look, Pelosi mate, you know, much love, but you did Doom a creep. Don't know what to say to that. But yeah, much love. Have a look at the last hits. I mean, yeah, he's doing decent. 103 last hits, 20 minutes into the game. Let's have a quick look at the XP per minute. We're on 612 for the Shadow Fiend. I mean, that's where things are gonna start getting a bit scary. And Doom coming in third. Kills, deaths, assists. I mean, the only person who's gone absolutely free and clear is oh, and Shadow Fiend picking off the Storm Spirit. That's a big kill. That's a big kill. Teaches me right for looking at the tables. But yeah, big game. We got, yep, Raise and farming going on from Shadow Fiend here, but Miracle possibly being a little bit over aggressive. He's not playing Naga. He can't just song and TP out of this one. Here come the entire Myth team, the entire living Myth team members, looking to come down here and get a kill. Unfortunately, he just backs off down the lane just enough to trick them, and then heading straight back in. Now with Shadow Shaman blinking over here, you know, blinking over that cliff, actually they've left the AA totally alone. They were 4-on-1 a second ago, and now suddenly it's 1-on-3. AA really struggling here. I am keeping an eye out on these to see if there's anybody I know who's getting prizes. Unfortunately there isn't. And how on earth are Myth going to be able to defend this push? They're doing an alright job on the top. They've managed to get downside, but Shadow Shaman's going to need mana before he can do anything. So is Storm. So it kind of counts for nothing.
Radiant's
I mean, you know,
bottom
if
tower
you were
has been
sieging tier
destroyed.
3 and you lost Doom and Centaur, but you took the tier 3, you'd kind of be happy. Especially if they can follow it up with this Rax and baiting out the Shadow Shaman.
Radiant's bottom barracks has been
That's fine.
destroyed.
And it was the melee Rax that they got down, which, you know, for the sake of confusion, if anybody is confused about that, you do want to get the ranged Rax down. The problem is it regenerates. So if you don't get it all the way down, you could come back and find that that entire push was wasted because it's healed all the way back up to full health. And that's not what you want. So yeah, if you don't think you're going to be able to finish off either Rax completely, go for the ranged one. TNK now. This is kind of the problem though. He's been doing this all game. He's trying to farm up an Ags, like a lot of AA players do. But he's lost so much gold to being ganked because he's been out in the lane trying to get things to happen, and he just ends up being killed. Like, it's one of the downsides to AA, I think. People seem to think you have to have the Scepter on him for him to be effective. And then when you get the Scepter on him, it's great. I'm not arguing with that. But prior to that, you know, what about the kind of 20 minutes where you're desperately trying to farm? What about games like this where things don't go well right at first and you're stuck with, you know, a support who should be your position 4 who needs the mid lane farm while it's pushed into a safe area? I mean, that's not good. That's really, really not good. You know, a lot of, you know, so what do? Do you pick up a Midas and use the Midas to kind of just beef out your farm? Possibly you do that. Shadow Fiend using his Manta now to just farm up an Ancient stack. One of the better uses of Manta, in my opinion. Gotta love that Ancient stack. Items coming out left, right, and center here. What has Centaur just picked up? Centaur's just picked up his pipe. I'm so glad. So yeah, as I said, now that's a great item. Centaur, his own double edge won't do as much damage to him as it will do to other people. It's the same reason you might get a cloak on someone like Pudge. Smoke Gank going off on everybody except for Miracle and Freedom. Now, they were all very close. They could easily have waited there. I assume that's because they're hoping to bait with one or both of these heroes. Nyx has spotted it out. Doesn't want to go on it solo though, and his team are not there to back him up. Big push now coming on from Scythe. Hopefully this is going to be a big fight. I'm not entirely sure how long Myth can keep the Scythe team off their racks. Alright, Scythe choosing to get a quick Roshan in, and that will definitely be a tier 3 sieging Roshan. You know, it's just going to be a question of pick that up, rock into Roshan, and yeah, really get some damage in. At the same time, Storm Spirit hoping to get some push on top. He can always TP down, but unfortunately he can't TP anywhere to be able to come in and contest this Roshan. So I'm almost certain that Scythe are going to have absolutely zero problem picking this up, and then Myth are going to have to be a little bit scared.
Roshan has fallen
Shadow
to the
Fiend
dire.
picks up his Aegis. He's looking forward to making that count. And
Illusion.
if we have a look at the items that have come out, I mean, BKB and Orchid out in Storm Spirit, there's a lot of high tier items coming out. DK
Radiant's
also
bottom
picking up his
barracks
Orchid.
is being
But then have a
attacked.
look at the Scythe team. There's just so much. Blink Daggers on Enigma. Enigma's actually got Blink Dagger, Mech, and BKB all at 26 minutes. Blink Dagger, Pipe, Tranquil is coming out from
Radiant's middle
coming out
tower
from the
is under
Centaur. I mean, it's
siege.
huge. Absolutely huge, the farm on this team. Shadow Fiend doesn't have a single rubbish item. Treads, Dominator,
Radiant's middle
Black King
tower
Bar,
is
Hand of
under-
Midas,
Radiant's middle tower has
and
been
Manta.
destroyed.
So they've got the tier 2 down on mid now. That was just a little bit of free gold. Now they're popping the Manta style, and they're just moving on the mid. They don't even need to be too subtle about this. It's literally just a question of, well, we cannot be stopped, basically. Shadow Fiend's taking the kind of front position. He's got the Aegis. That's wise.
Radiant has
Nyx goes in,
fortified
gets
its
up and
structures.
impale. Not sure it's really going to help much though. And Shadow Shaman
I'm
really
starting to
in
think
trouble.
this was
Drops towards a
premeditated.
Miracle. Kind of a waste though, I think, without his team there to back him up. Miracle can just murder them down, and of course has Aegis. So even if they'd managed to get decent damage on him, it wouldn't have been something his team could initiate on. And it's the initiation that Myth are really looking for here. I don't think they've got a clear idea about who's going to do it. And unfortunately, they give the opportunity to Hannah, who comes in with a Stomp, catches out the Nyx, followed up by Enigma, who drops the BKB down, catches out Dragon Knight, catches out Storm Spirit, and that is team wipe, ladies and gentlemen. GG called by Myth, and GG at 1. Excellently played by Scythe. I think Myth did a great job responding to some of those ganks. Did an amazing job up top once with a very, very quick Hex from the Centaur and really turned some fights around. But unfortunately, just not enough up against the Scythe draft and against absolutely top play from them as well. Anybody tuning in? I hope you've really enjoyed this. This is a best of 3 arrangement, so Scythe wins. They are now through to the semi-finals. They'll be fighting against Team Titan. And I'll double check this again just so it hasn't changed. I wouldn't want to give someone the wrong date. Yep, at the moment it's down as 9:04 at 1400 Central European time. If anybody wants to try and catch that, that will be the semi-finals. And I hope everybody has enjoyed the quarterfinals here with me, Grumbleduke. I do have a 100 sub giveaway going on at the moment. You might want to check that out below. But whether you sub or not, I hope you enjoyed the cast. Any feedback, I will be checking over the comments for a bit now. So if something was terrible, just let me know. Ciao.